On today's episode, Missy and I are talking about embracing the holidays.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of On Finding Peace. This is the podcast where Missy and I talk to you about everyday practical living tips that can help you to be happy and live. So, how are you today, Missy?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying the weather. We're in Florida and it's like 75, perfect weather here today. So I get to sit outside and, I'm wondering how the weather is up there where you're at in Maryland.
Yeah, well, even though it's southern Maryland, I am in my shed at the moment if you're watching live because it's in the 30s and a little breezy. So, yeah, sitting outside to do this would not be overly comfortable.
No, not at all. Yeah, and I had to take all the kids inside. I was like, you can't ride your mini bikes right now. You can't come outside and interrupt, but mommy's going to be doing a podcast right now. So it's going to be
Yeah,
quiet. I'm actually going to enjoy this for a few minutes.
exactly. A little bit of rest and maybe relaxation, and which
Yeah,
actually fits very well with the topic for today, I would think.
yeah. Well, I think that it's a great idea that, you came up with to talk about this because, along the lines of, all the hustle and bustle that happens really between the end of November and the end of the year, celebrations, parties, being around people, it really can be sensory overload. And so, talking about ways to just, find that peace and be able to, take time in nature, take time to find the quiet for yourself, really can help you to learn to do what we're saying here. The title is Embracing the Holidays.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, many of us are stressed as it is with just everything going on. And then you throw on top the holidays.
Yeah.
And even though, many of us are being kind of quarantined again and, shut down, I mean, lives are still somewhat busy. And it's important for us to keep the focus and probably even more so this year, to focus in on what might be some of the positives in our lives, some of the things that, um, maybe we're overlooking right now due to all the negatives that we see.
Well, yeah, and that's a great question to be in, is like, how can we bring joy to this situation? How can we bring joy to what we're experiencing right now? Because it's a lot. It's a lot, and we get really overwhelmed. And I feel like I'm compelled to say that the energy is moving really, really fast for everybody nowadays. So, one day you might be in the midst of something that's not so great, negative. The next moment you're celebrating and on top of the world. And it seems like there's a lot of back and forth with that. And the holidays kind of add to, like, oh, this is good. Oh no, this is bad. Oh no, this is good. Oh no, this is bad. And I think it's really just more thoughts, beliefs, and even judgment on what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, and kind of taking a different perception of how we're looking at the holidays and spending time with people that sometimes we love because they're family and sometimes we don't love because they're family.
Exactly, and that's part of, obviously the stress of the season is the fact that, sometimes we have to gather with some family that we would rather not.
Yeah.
Although, if you're looking for the positives, COVID gives you a wonderful excuse
And
to
out, yeah.
maybe not interact with some of those families.
Well, and
um,
I think the other thing is, I think what happens is around this time of year, it's almost like we revert back to the thoughts and the beliefs that we created when we were really young around these family members. And then it doesn't, it's a good recognizing of where we're at and whether we've let that go or whether we're still living back in the ideas that we created when we were young. So
Yep.
that's something to keep in mind when you're, like what's really making you anxious about the holidays? Is it, maybe it's a loss of a loved one. Maybe it's like, I don't want to be around my siblings or, or my cousin that annoys the snot out of me or something like that. But, those are all, beliefs that we likely all created when we were younger. And so whether they're serving you now or not in this moment is something to really kind of dive into or consider before you get all anxious and worked up about it.
And I totally agree. And for me, it comes off of what you were just saying, that we can then create this perception of perfection,
Yeah.
that the holidays now have to be perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I want to recreate that past, so I have to have the perfect decorations in the perfect way and do those traditions. And if something gets in the way of that, it's just gonna, throw everything out the window. And now, with the whole COVID, what am I supposed to do, on perfection there, so
That's
I think that's part of what causes that stress.
That's a great point. And, I also feel like maybe a little bit of it might be like loneliness, like the actual duality of, that we're separate, right? Because I'm more of a oneness kind of thought thinker, right? I like to think that it doesn't matter how far away from, if I need you, I know that I can tap into you no matter what. Right. And so that loneliness around the seasons when you are far from family, or now, of course, with COVID, now we can't see that family that we do love so much.
Mhm.
It really can take on that kind of burdensome feeling or depressing sadness of the season. I think that trying to open up yourself to that oneness can really help people with what they're experiencing through the holidays as well. Like think of how you can make
Exactly.
meeting fun, or think about how you guys can do a scavenger hunt, miles and miles apart, or, like how fun would that be? Like, oh, go find this or that somewhere in the wilderness or in the cold where you are, like I probably couldn't find the same kind of rocks that you have up there. So doing something like that could be fun and entertaining and make you laugh and video and kind of make you a part of what each other are going through when you're far apart.
Did you just come up with a listener challenge without us like announcing a listener challenge?
I think that was a great idea. Doing a little scavenger hunt. It sounds fun to me right now, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And during the holidays, it's like we seem to have more time. Like we're sitting around, we're eating, and usually spending time with people. But what a great way to get out into nature and kind of commune with other people at the same time.
I totally agree. I think that's an awesome way to connect families, and even if you're not far apart, still do this idea. But I think
Yeah.
especially for those who can't get together would be a great way, to somehow video, what you're doing, maybe even in real time, and that can bring people as together as possible. And I think it's an awesome thing to do. So I see that as our listener challenge.
I think that's a great idea. And you'll have to apologize, my dogs in the background. We have a full house of dogs right now. We're babysitting for my brother, or dog sitting, I should say. But I mean, and they have those, they have like Duo and WhatsApp and all kinds of stuff like that, like Facebook Messenger. You can video chat with people. So
Yep.
that would be really cool to have like a one person. I'm getting excited about it now. Maybe I'm going to do this for my family for Christmas. But
Yeah.
it's just about making it fun. It's that childlike wonder. Like that's what it was when we were young, right? You know, running down the stairs. Can't wait to see what Santa brought you. Can't wait to see what your mom got you, your dad got you. Things like that. And like why not bring that back as an adult? Who cares how old we are, how silly we look? Let's just have fun and really enjoy, you know, this holiday season, even though it's quite different than all the rest.
Yeah, and I've written on that as well as looking at these holidays through the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
Because that is the wonder again, and as adults we tend to lose wonder. So how do we get that wonder back?
Yeah.
But wonder also has nothing to do with perfection. So I really think that's one of the things is to try to not make it perfect, but make it a fun, joyous wonder moment. Um, and I think also, for us to spend time reflecting on for each individual, what is the meaning of this holiday season for each person?
Right.
And not lose sight that this isn't just a day we all decided to celebrate, but we've decided to celebrate based on our own ideas of why we're celebrating, and I think that
Why is
needs
it
to be
fun?
remembered.
I have two things I want to add to that because I think those are great points. So there's a difference between have to and get to, right? I have to go to this lunch,
Oh
or I
yeah.
have to go to this dinner, I have to get presents for people. When you get to do something, it's like a privilege. It's like you're excited about getting, like, I get to go to Disneyland. Yay. Well, you know, like that's what we think, right? So keep that in mind, that have to get to. And the other thing is it's not necessarily a doing. It's not like a linear checkbox, like, oh, I've, checked this off the box, I'm checking this off the box, because that's like very masculine, right-brained, if I'm not mistaken, it's right-brained anyway, the like,
Yes.
I have to do it. It's not, it doesn't make it fun. You don't get to be creative in that space. It's like, okay, made the potatoes. Okay, made the chili, made the whatever you make, right? Instead of like, being in that creative and honestly, like, especially cooking for me, that's where I get to put the love into my cooking is like it's, oh, I'm creating right now. I'm creating this for my family so that they'll enjoy it and it's fun. So for me, that's what I do. But for you guys, I mean, it could be shopping. It could be spending time with people and not like again, just not like a have to. It's not a linear checkbox that we're going through. It's creative, so it can be all encompassing.
Yep. And I totally agree. And even though I tend more toward the right, I totally agree with you on using left brain in that sense of finding the creative,
Yeah.
um, because when you look at these holidays through the eyes of children, that's what they're finding is that creativeness, and that comes out of that wonder.
And pardon my giggling, but I literally just thought, like, here, I have a 10-year-old, and Santa is a big deal, still a big deal.
Hmm.
And, I'm like, well, what do you want for Christmas? This child wants gummy bears. He wants toffee Heath bars. I mean, there's nothing about the material stuff. It's like, what do I get to have fun with? Oh, I really like candy. And, so it makes me giggle because it's like, I have said this recently, he's very difficult to buy for, not because he thinks he'd be ecstatic if I got him the things that he asked me for, and I will. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't always have to be about what you're giving as well. And this is a good reminder for me, but it doesn't have to, it's really is so much thought into like, remembering who people are, what they mean to you, being grateful for them, and, and enjoying that experience, because that will raise your vibration. That will bring you the peace and the joy that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I know it's difficult to do these things that you and I are talking about, but I would just encourage people to aspire to a few of these and give it your best shot, um, especially if you're starting to feel stressed and anxious.
Mhm.
you know, look for, you know, those areas that maybe you could do some of these things that we're talking about, so that you can be less stressed. And I think just knowing with everything going on in the world right now that it's going to be more stressful than normal, but we don't have to um, let it be that way.
No, for sure. And you know, we've talked about this before in the way that things reflect to you. I always like to say anything that you say about somebody else is about you, and anything that they say about you
Mm,
is about themselves. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. Everything that we do and say is a reflection. So just if somebody does like attempt to get under your skin, just remember, just like, oh, that's interesting that you say that about yourself. You know, think that. You don't have to say it out loud. But you know, it helps a lot when you keep those thoughts to yourself and don't accept what they're saying as an attack on you. You know, in one of the
right.
programs that I work in is A Course in Miracles, and that's what they say is like an unhealed mind feels under attack. So, you know, in order to heal your mind, you
Mm,
have to recognize that you're not under attack. And hopefully that will help you get through this holiday season and help you embrace the holidays.
yeah, no, a very good point. And just to add to that, you know, keep in mind if people are getting under your skin and on your nerves, they too are feeling stress and anxiety over the holiday season.
Yes.
So, you know, if we're asking each of our viewers to give yourselves a break, please give others a break,
Yeah.
um, because they too are going through this, and you know their coping style is going to be different from yours. So, yeah,
It will be
we
very
all need a
helpful.
little patience with each other.
Yes. Yes. Joy
Exactly.
in the world, right?
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not singing.
You don't want to join in with me? Why? Come on. Don't make me sing by myself.
I don't want to lose all of our audience.
All right. Well, that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season yourself, and I enjoyed, you know, doing this so far this year, and I look forward to a very prosperous new year for all of us.
Yes, and a wonderful holidays to you as well, and to all of our listeners. You know, however you want to celebrate and check out both of our websites, check out our Patreon page, and just have a wonderful holiday season.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye, Chris.
See ya.